If you want to get your vehicle or your truck slammed to the ground, you're probably going to have to do a C-notch in the frame. I'm going to show you how to build one right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this thing up, and I'm going to drop my my rear wheels off, and I'm going to get ready to do a C-notch in the back so I have plenty of clearance. I'm going to raise it up and I'll show you the kind of clearance we have right now at ride height. So I drop my rear end out so I can do my C-notch. Okay folks, so I'm getting ready to do the C-notch in the 51 Ford, and what I did was I laid out where I want my C-notch to be. I made all my measurements and everything. I'm going to do the same for the other side, but I got to grind off a little bracket so I have a nice flat area. Then once I have this laid out like this, I'll drill some holes and I'll take my cutoff wheel and I'll cut this section out. Meanwhile, I'm supporting my frame in the back with my jack stands and with my lift up front. This area from here back really isn't an area that has a lot of weight on it. All of my suspension is in the front. This has the gas tank in the back, but it isn't like this is a work truck that we have to put some super big plates on or whatever, but I do have some nice steel, and I'm gonna make my own C-notch. So first thing I wanted to do is make sure that I had my frame supported so that when I do cut this out, it doesn't move. Then we'll make up our plates, we'll weld our plates on, and then we'll have a C-notch. All right, folks, Operation C-notch is underway. This one's all notched out. I'll show you with the small camera what it looks like. I welded some plates on the inside. I got the other side all notched out. I got a plate in there. I got to do a couple more just to finish it off. Then we'll put some reinforcing plates on the outside, and we should be getting pretty close to being good to go. I went and got some steel to make some plates that go on either side of the frame, and I've got this piece of box steel that I'm going to cut and use to reinforce the top. I'll show you how it all goes down. Meanwhile, I'm going to cut a couple of pieces, finish my C-notch on the driver's side, and then I'll bring the small camera over and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so I've got the rest of my C-notch on the other side all welded up. I'll show you that on the small camera. In the meantime, I'm developing my reinforcement plans for the C-notch. So what I came up with was my frame is a 4-inch box. So what I did was I took a 4-inch box like this that my frame is made out of, and I ripped it and I made these two pieces. So now I can take and lay this on top of my frame where my C-notch is, and I'll show you in just a second what that looks like. And then my plate will come up against it like this here, and then I'll cut my C-notches out here, make some bolts, tack some welds in, and we'll be all reinforced. I'll show you with the small camera what's going on. I also took these and I made some pieces to go onto the ends to cap these ends off. I got this piece of steel right here, and what's going to happen is I'm going to take that piece of steel and I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to get it into position here, like so, and then I'm going to trace the back side over here and cut out my C-notch. So let's go. Okay, so I got my plate bolted on here. You can see it here from the outside. And then on the inside, all I'm going to do is trace my C-notch, and I'll take that off. I'll be able to cut that C-notch, and then I'll put my other plate up here and I'll trace that from the back side as well. Okay, so I got the notches cut in my plates. I got holes drilled for my reinforcement. I got my reinforcement over here like this, and I put all of these bolts in here like this. I'm going to take my welder, I'm going to weld all of these nuts in here, so when I go to bolt this together, I don't have to fiddle around with any nuts. I just screw the bolts in. So I'm going to get this welded. Okay, so here's my reinforcing piece. You can see it here. All my nuts are in there. I welded them on the inside, and I've got my plates are over here. I got bolts here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to put it up in here like so, just like this. then I'll be able to take my outside plate, slide it up in here, and put the bolts in. And then I'll have this plate on. Then I can come back in, put the plate on this side, put the bolts in, put my other bolts in, and I'll be good to go. Okay, so here's my C-notch here. It's all set up to be a bolted piece. This is my inside. These are my bolts here for my inside plate. This is my outside. This is my outside plate here. These are my bolts here. I can take these bolts out, put my plates up, and then put these bolts in, and then I can put my other bolts in for my cross members and, you know, everywhere that this bolts on. Okay, so here we go. I got my piece all bolted in there like that. I clamped it, got a few bolts in, a few nuts. I'm gonna grind these areas a little bit, and I'm gonna start welding. Same thing with this spot over here. I cleaned that edge up over there. I'll get this all welded there, welded here, and then we'll be just about all set. Okay, so here we go. Our C-notch is all welded in, and I ground it down. It's not quite ready for paint or anything, so it's not super smooth, but it's cleaned up quite a bit. And got both sides done. Here's the other side. I'm all cleaned up here. So from here, I'll probably want to, you know, I got my two cross members that are over here. Those got to be prepped up for paint. The frame has to be prepped up for paint, and I need to do some final welding on this. Okay, so this is what our C-notch looks like underneath the vehicle. We got a full mock-up here. Here's our cross member, our shocks, our 4-link setup that we have set up, and this is our C-notch here. So we're in the fully extended position. I got a good probably 5 inches in here between the axle and the C-notch on both sides, and I really like it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring my jack over here, and I'm gonna raise this rear axle so you can see how it tucks up into the C-notch. Okay, so as you can see, we're in the lowered position, and as I start to jack up my jack, my rear axle will start to go up into my C-notch, and you'll see it go. This would be somewhere in the neighborhood of what my ride height would look like, and it would give me plenty of room for any compression or extension. And then when I'm in a fully collapsed position, I'll get this right up to where we're... Yeah, so now you can see we're tucked right up in there, and you can see how my C-notch gives me that extra room that I need so I can get tucked right up in there. Now I'm gonna let this down. We can see it from the outside and what it looks like in a fully collapsed position. Okay, so this is our fully aired out position. It's all the way down on the bump stops. You can see our tires are tucked in front and rear. I have it on these tables for the simple reason that it is so low to the ground, I can't lower the lift enough to get it to the floor. So the next thing we're going to want to do is work on our front, get our front dialed in. Then we can move on to the installation and plumbing of the actual air system, the compressor, and the tank. So I want to thank you for tuning in. Please like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you like my content, and good luck on your project.